Mr. Das, I want to come to you. Markets are rejoicing this order. As soon as the order was pronounced, we have seen that US market were off lows. In fact, rose as much as 1% from the day's low. I want to understand from you the impact which it is going to be on India, according to you.
Well, look, so I think, first of all, the market is telling us quite a few things about the US and the rest of the world. I think, the stock market is up, as you say, the dollar is down, and bond yields are up. I think bond yields are up because there is a possibility that now the deficit is going to have to be larger because there's going to have to be more borrowing if the $250 billion, as was just said, has to be refunded. I would not be so sanguine that what the markets are saying is that everything is going to go back to square one. I think it's very clear that the Trump administration wants to go ahead with these tariffs. I think it's, the pretext of national emergency has not worked. I agree it's not going to be challenged in the Supreme Court. They're going to have to find workarounds. And I think they've been planning on these workarounds, as was said earlier, and as I also said, Section 232, 301, 122, other kinds of means. They may not be as strong, but as was also sort of being said in this debate and discussion, a number of trade deals have been signed. The Trump administration does have the authority to sign those trade deals under the fast track authority that Congress originally gave, ceded to the executive branch. That has not been overturned, as far as we can tell, by the Supreme Court, right? That has not been challenged, actually. So maybe that'll be challenged next, and that'll be another drama. I would not be so sanguine as well that all the drama that comes from the Trump administration is over, right? This is a president who likes to shake things up. He believes he's been elected to shake things up, and he wants to shake things up because he sees serious problems in the U.S. economy and serious problems in the U.S. position in the world. I think those things are not changing, so they will try to find other ways to make these changes and to try and bring some more industry back on shore, partly for jobs and partly because what they're really worried about, I think, is that most of the industrial production in the world now takes place in China.
Yeah.
Much less of it, half as much industrial production in the US as in China. If there were ever a conflict, the US could not be sure of holding its own in that conflict.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the underlying issue. So
Yeah.
we're going to continue to see efforts to reindustrialize the US,
Yeah.
to remain at the technological frontier, and if necessary, the budget deficit will have to take the hit, which is why bond yields are up.
Yeah, so final word, all the panelists said that, India definitely has an upper hand over here. But final word before we wrap this discussion is, who wins in the US market? The US consumer definitely, we can see it winning after this strike. And you said that President Trump tries to shake things up. But what about the manufacturing? What about the industry?
Well, look, I think that's going to take a long time. It doesn't seem to be happening very quickly, right? I mean, the U.S. still continue to lead in technology and in AI and so on, although that's coming under question how fast that will change things. That there's a question mark about that. There's also a lot of disruption taking place because of AI in other parts of the technology sector, software, in financial services, legal services, and so on. So there's clearly change going on. That is economic and technological, that is being reflected in financial markets, that is going to happen, regardless of this tariff story, right? So I think, some countries, including India, may have a somewhat stronger bargaining position than they had before. But I'm not convinced that anybody really has the upper hand. We have to remember here, the U.S. is running a $1.2 trillion goods trade deficit with the rest of the world. Now, that of course requires the rest of the world to export to the U.S. and to finance those exports to the U.S. But it also means that many other countries are dependent on the U.S. market for a lot of their exports, for a lot of their economic activity.
Point taken, Mr. Das. Mr. Rao, as well as Mr. Singh, do stay with us because we have to take a very quick break, and after the break, we are coming back soon.